Hey everyone, this is Rafael Hoffman. In this video, I want to get into why victimhood is misunderstood. And there's too much inclusiveness into this category. So, for example, when someone says there's injustices in the world that's affecting me and my ability to live properly, instead of pointing fingers and saying, "Oh, he's a victim," he has a victim mindset, a victim mentality. He's not taking enough responsibility for his actions, for his goals. That's why he or she doesn't have enough money, doesn't have the best job that he wants, is not in the place that he wants, doesn't have the relationships, the love, the situation that he or she wants. And really, not taking responsibility is why they're in the place that they're in. Instead, they adopted a victim mentality. That's why they're not doing well. So I'm trying to explain to you why this is a problem. Now, before I get into this, I want to explain what a social justice warrior is. So there's two types of social justice warriors. There's the one that sees a problem in society and wants it to change. So they promote it. They say, "Look what happened here. There's an injustice. Don't be blind to what's going on." Then there's the other type of social justice warrior that's cultic, and that says other people agree with me, so it must be true. And they're not thinking independently. It's more of like a groupthink, cultic ideology. Now, this is always going on subtly, subconsciously, where we want to be into groups and we're only saying things that a certain sample of people would agree with. So we're all kind of prone to cultic behavior, cultic mindsets, cultic attitudes, even if they're not going to be pinpointed as formally a cult. But what I'm saying here is that the first type of social justice warrior is usually more independent minded. That they even criticize other liberals or other social justice warriors. So like when Black Lives Matter blocks the streets, there is, I understand why they're doing it, they're angry, but at a certain point you have to say, we got to be careful with blocking the streets. So the second type of social justice warrior says, no, they should block the streets. We're angry. Who cares that it blocks traffic and it messes with the economy and it messes with just overall flow of everything. So to hell with everyone else because there's an injustice. That attitude is the second type of SJW, which is what people hate, which is what people dislike, and which is why the conservatives have firepower and they have will to even fire against them. But then the first type gets shot down. Now, when you have an SJW, a social justice warrior, the first type, the one that's legitimate, that's thinking independently, is not cultic, when they're saying that someone is not responsible, they have a point. You should take responsibility within things that are in your direct vicinity. But if you put too much stress into figuring out ways to get out of your situation, and you're not successful, and you fail and fail and fail, and what you're doing is every time you fail, it hurts you, then you should stop doing that. And if you stop doing that, that's not learning helplessness. That's just understanding what works and what doesn't work. And that it's more important to have peace of mind than aggravating your psyche over and over again. And you're also not being insane. You're realizing what works, what doesn't work for your particular situation. Now, those stories where people became successful because they tried and they failed and they tried again, very often they had a support system or they got very lucky. I just saw this on a video. Basically, you should put yourself in a situation where you get lucky. That's smart. Meaning, you don't know how to make money. Okay, I guess I could take some marketing courses, learn some tips. That's smart. That's practical. But if you can't afford the course, if you don't know which course to take, or if you've taken 5 courses already and it didn't work, that's enough. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault anymore. There comes a point where you have to stop taking responsibility and say there is a system or there's a psychological facet that's just out of your control. And no one's forcing you to do anything, so there is some kind of free will. You're able to do whatever, but there's not going to be that desired result. So therefore, it's as if there's no free will to get to that desired result. There isn't a solution to reach there. If there is, it'll happen anyways. And that's not learned helplessness. That's not a victim mentality. That's just common sense. That's an advanced stage of development, looking at it objectively, understanding what is going to bring the most peace and what's the most logical path to adopt. So that's where the misconception lies. People mistakenly call those people victims, and they get confused for all kinds of names that are derogatory. Which is an issue. A lot of the people that want to claim that adopting a victim mindset is wrong, in the sense that you are pointing at an external facet, are the same people that are conservative. They're the same people that are very focused on running your own business and assuming that every single person can equally do it no matter their situation. That really they can all equally make it to the top 0.01% billionaires, and it's up to you to make it happen. They have a very delusional understanding of reality that's been bred to them because it's the only way to be in the top 20% earners. Or the top 20% earners. You have to adopt this delusional outlook because that's what drives you, and that's what gives you the direction and the cultic triad over here to make it to that world of people who make all that money. So pause it, think about what I'm saying so you don't misunderstand it, and then continue. Is that you already have to be in that mindset, but the mindset is to continue the cults that already exist on the top, that are facilitating these lower down thinking of it's all on you to accomplish. So am I ever going to point fingers and say you should be responsible for something? The only thing I point to people that you should be responsible for something is making sure that when someone says it's not my fault, they should be listened to. Even if not agreed with, they should be listened to. But instead, the moment you give a category, that person is a victim. He makes himself a victim. He's not worth talking to. He needs therapy. Maybe we'll fund some therapy for him so he can stop giving up in life and he can try again. Because I've had people who are very capitalist minded or very into the system that when they even see me, they see my approach to life and to free will. Remember, they haven't activated their higher states of consciousness, or they haven't had so many mystical experiences, so they don't fully get this. That is not your fault for pretty much anything. But they accuse me of having given up in life. And now, once you reach a high enough stage, you learn that this is actually the hack to feeling good in life. It's to give up. And to recognize that people are going to accuse you and they're going to hate you possibly. In a capitalist society and where there's like stage orange and spiral dynamics and stage green, it's going to be less of an issue. But if you're in blue and red and orange, that's very difficult to adopt this approach. But basically the epiphany is you have to give up in life. And then the moment they accuse you of something, they accuse you of being this or being that, they accuse you of being a victim of this, you just have to let it wash over you and be like, I'm happy. Not that it's just words, but it's just they're in a certain mode. They're in a certain need of labeling things a particular way that has to do with the culture and the society. And you have given up. You know that giving up is the trick to not being caught up in that. Or not being caught up in that as easily. And if you do make money in any type of way, there's going to be a part of your psyche that gets sucked into this vortex of adopting a mentality that agrees with the general populace, where the cult of money, the belief that money actually exists or currency or value exists, they get sucked into it. So immediately you're going to have these beliefs protruding into your psyche like, it is me, I'm doing it. No. It's luck. You got lucky that your psyche ended up picking up cues in order to be a part of this group to convince people that you're valuable. That's it. You got lucky. And so you may have to keep reminding yourself, if you have an outlet to make money, that you're just very lucky in terms of what your psyche adopted. But it's never you. And every time you think it's you, it's just an illusion. It's just circumstance that's kind of making people believe something which feedbacks on itself. So there's a continuity of that belief because of the way the ego structure works, but it's not you. But the point is that there's a lot of misconceptions about victimhood. And people who are in the capitalist society that actually believe that you should have a business, yet say, life sucks, nothing is working for me. Yeah, that's a victim, and that's the stereotype that these successful people are pointing at you shouldn't be. But what ends up happening is they conflate this, because they're not very advanced intellectually. They conflate this guy, the one who's given up from depression, with this guy, the one who's given up because he's reached a state of consciousness that you don't need to impress anyone. And there's that desire. So yeah, you may seem like a hypocrite because there is a desire to live, but really you're the second kind of victim. But he's not a victim, he's enlightened. And this guy's not enlightened, this guy's just utterly depressed. And sometimes people can get so depressed they can become this, but it's rare. So that's why they bash this guy, but this guy is actually the ideal. So don't conflate them, separate them, and recognize that this one is not a victim, and this one might be considered a victim. Now this one, like I said in the beginning, he's still he's still a victim to circumstance, to things outside his control. So you need people to focus on that. And instead of bashing SJWs for supporting even the first type of victimhood person, you should really see where they're coming from. No one's responsible for anything. And that mindset, the attitude will help you raise your consciousness, raise your level of development. You will mature in your outlook on society, on situations, on the functionality of people, a well-balanced approach to how people develop, and so on. That's it. Have a good day.